Prophet Muhammad, 570 to 630 is as CE. A life of revelation, struggle, and legacy. Pre-Islamic Arabia, a land in need of reform. Before the advent of Islam, Arabia was plagued by social injustice, tribal conflict, and spiritual decline. Although Abraham and his son Ismail had established the Kaaba in Mecca as a place of monotheistic worship, over time, the Meccans strayed from the message of oneness. They transformed the Kaaba into a sanctuary for idols, welcoming polytheists from across the region. Mecca's economy thrived on trade and pilgrimage, but without any central government or justice system, power was concentrated in the hands of the wealthy and dominant tribes. Slavery, tribal oppression, and the horrific practice of burying infant girls alive highlighted the moral decay of the society. It was in this environment that Prophet Muhammad was born. Early life and the first revelation. Prophet Muhammad was born in Mecca in 570 CE, known as the Year of the Elephant. That's when Abraham came to destroy the Kaaba, and his army of elephants was miraculously destroyed by birds. Prophet Muhammad was orphaned at a young age. He was raised by his uncles. He belonged to the respected Banu Hashim clan. Prophet Muhammad was unlettered because he didn't receive any education, and so he didn't know how to read or write. Known for his honesty, he became a successful merchant and married a wealthy woman, Khadijah. They had 4 daughters. Troubled by the injustices of his society, he would retreat to a cave for meditation. At age 40, during one of these retreats, the angel Gabriel appeared to him with the first revelation of the Quran, commanding him to read. This moment marked the beginning of his prophetic mission. Opposition in Mecca and migration to Medina, Muhammad's call to monotheism threatened the socio-economic status of the Meccan elites. When the message of Islam began to gain traction, their leaders became increasingly concerned. The Prophet's call to monotheism challenged their economic and social structures, which were deeply tied to idol worship. To stop him without resorting to violence, they tried persuasion. They offered him the following if he would cease preaching Islam: wealth, they would make him the richest among them; power, they would make him their leader; marriage, they would offer him the most beautiful women of Quraysh; title, he could have any position or status he desired. Prophet Muhammad's response, narrated by his uncle Abu Talib, was, "O my uncle, by God, if they were to place the sun in my right hand and the moon in my left hand on condition that I abandon this matter, I would never abandon it until God causes it to prevail or I die in the process." Sirah by Ibn Hisham, and reported in various biographical sources. This defies all of the accusations made against his intentions behind his prophetic mission. It's a lesson for us to correctly prioritize our goals. His rejection of everything a person could desire in exchange for compromising the truth remains a timeless testament to integrity, faith, and purpose. As persecution intensified, initially, a small group of Muslims sought refuge in Abyssinia, a Christian state. A Christian king who not only gave refuge but also protected the Muslims from the Meccans by refusing to return them on their demand. Here, I am compelled to acknowledge and appreciate the fact how Christians have always helped Muslims. It was Khadijah's uncle, a Christian, who confirmed and comforted the Prophet through his anxiety on his first encounter with the angel Gabriel and receiving the revelation. Even in Medina, the neighboring Christian tribes didn't cause hardship to the Muslims and mostly remained neutral. As a result of a treaty, they handed over the city of Jerusalem to the second Caliph Umar. I see the Crusades as an exception since they happened during the Dark Ages. Just study how brutally they treated their own during their era. So, thank you. Eventually, Muhammad and most of his followers migrated to Medina in 622 CE, an event known as the Hijrah, which marks the beginning of the Islamic calendar. In Medina, the Prophet established a diverse, inclusive society where Muslims, Jews, and others could practice their faith freely. He encouraged consultation, shura, built the first mosque as a civic center, and emphasized justice and education, conflict and triumph. Hostilities from Mecca did not cease after the migration. The Battle of Badr marked the first major Muslim victory, while the Battle of Uhud and the Battle of the Trench tested the resilience and strategy of the Muslim community. Despite suffering losses, Muslims remained united. Muhammad expelled traitorous tribes and upheld treaties when possible. The Treaty of Hudaybiyah, though initially seen as unfavorable, allowed Islam to spread without war. When the Meccans violated this truce, the Muslims peacefully reclaimed Mecca in 630 CE. Prophet Muhammad entered the city without bloodshed, forgave his former enemies, and purified the Kaaba of its idols. Legacy and the Lost Sermon. In 632 CE, during his final pilgrimage, the Prophet delivered his farewell sermon, a powerful summary of his mission and the core values of Islam. He emphasized the sanctity of life and property, condemned racism and social inequality, and affirmed the rights of women. He reminded his followers that no prophet would come after him, and urged them to hold fast to the Quran and his teachings. Soon after, he passed away in Medina. Unique aspects of his prophethood. Prophet Muhammad's life contains remarkable features. No miraculous display. Unlike earlier prophets, he was not given physical miracles, but the Quran, a living, linguistic, and intellectual miracle. The most documented life. His life is recorded with unmatched historical detail. Unlike other scriptures, the Quran remains preserved in its original form. A green prophet. He emphasized cleanliness, moderation, and environmental awareness. Advocate for education. Muhammad taught that seeking knowledge was mandatory for all Muslims. He freed prisoners of war in exchange for literacy training. He was the turning point in human history when reliance shifted from miracles to science. Seal of prophethood. He is considered the final prophet, with the Quran as the last divine message. True Sunnah and modern relevance. The Prophet's life was closely tied to the Quran. Each revelation addressed real situations, helping him and his community navigate moral, legal, and spiritual challenges. The true Sunnah lies not in replicating the Prophet's lifestyle in material terms, but in embodying his mission to believe in one God and fight against injustice. He differentiated between cultural practices and universal truths, a lesson still relevant today. In conclusion, Prophet Muhammad's life is a timeless guide not only for Muslims but for anyone committed to justice, compassion, and moral integrity. Through the Quran and his example, he transformed a fractured society into a unified nation under the banner of monotheism, equality, and peace. His legacy continues to inspire billions to seek knowledge, uphold justice, and live purposefully.